This is a story that I found in one of those little secondhand bookstores on some secondary highway, traveling from here to there. It's a literary tale written in the 60s and by a man named Eula. It is out of print now. The Moon Singer. When the mill owner and his wife saw the woman and the boy walking toward them, well, he looked at her and she looked at him, and they knew what was going to happen. And indeed the woman did come forward, and though the miller's wife said no, they did stay in the barn, and in the morning the woman was gone and the boy was still there. What could they do? The miller looked at his wife, she looked at him. They took the boy on. They taught him everything there was to know about the mill. He was quite good at it. And over the years, he came to actually be the one running it, and the mill owner and his wife had a leisurely life. The one thing about this boy, though, is that he did not speak, did not make a sound. Until that one night when he was impelled out of his bed, he went to his window, and the moonlight was upon him, and he sang. Faster than fast, the mill owner and his wife. Be quiet, don't let the neighbors know. But the next month, he awoke and was impelled to go to the window. But this time he went down the stairs and out across the lawn, just to the edge of the forest, and he sang. And fast, the mill owner and his wife were there. Took him back to his room. Everything went along all right. I mean, the boy figured it out. And so when he was called to sing one more time, he went out of his room, down the stairs, across the lawn, into the forest, deep into the forest. And he felt the light of the moon, and he sang. Now he thought he was alone, but he wasn't. There were people out at night, and some of them doing things that they don't want us to know about. So pretty soon, all across the community, it was known that he who made no sound and didn't bother to talk sang in the moonlight. But they didn't tell the mill owner and his wife, because they enjoyed it, and because the boy actually did let them stay as long as they didn't make a sound. If you didn't really know they were there, it was all right. And so it went on until the day that the courtier's carriage broke a wheel right there in their village. The courtier himself, dressed so finely, with his long coat, his high heels with diamonds sparkling, his hat with this glorious plume. Well, the courtier sat in the inn. Pretty soon, everybody had a reason to come to the inn, and of course they were just there to drink with their friends, and completely ignored the courtier, except that they were all watching him and that feather. Then a little while later, after enough had been imbibed, one of them stood up and said, "So you're from the court of our princess. Is she as beautiful as they say?" And the courtier said, "Yes." And they asked more questions about the court, which most of them he said yes, or he ignored. Then one of the special things about their princess, so they had heard, is that she had the best of everyone and of everything. And so they had a list, and every single time the courtier said, "Yes, she has the best," until it came to, "Does she have the best singer?" "No. We thought she had the best singer, but indeed he was not, and he was removed." "Well," said one of the villagers, "we have the best singer." And indeed the teacher did rise up out of his chair and say, "My lord, it is true, we have a very fine singer. And if you would like to hear him." "Yes, I would," said the courtier. And so that night, they took the courtier down the lawn to the edge of the forest. They could not convince him to get out of his heels, so they had to carry him through the forest. And they told him to be quiet. And he was, until he heard the boy sing in the light of the moon. "You there! You're coming with me!" The boy ran. But the villagers found him, put him in the carriage, and he was in the carriage when the courtier got in and sat down and ignored him the entire drive. Well, the boy had never been this high up before, much less been in a carriage that moved this fast. But he made it there without disgracing himself, and he was ushered through the front door of the palace into a little room where all of his clothes was taken away, and he was scrubbed, and they put on new clothes, except the shoes were too small, and the pants were not right, and the jacket uncomfortable, and the hat hurt. Then he was led into this great room that was filled with people who fluttered with feathers and fans. And there the most beautiful woman, and she leaned toward him and said, "Will you sing for me?" He looked into her eyes. He could not. He was ushered out of the room, put back into that small, tiny room, and did not see anybody overnight. The next morning, though, he was fetched. He was taken to another room where the princess herself was sitting beside a piano. "I thought this would be easier. Will you sing for me now?" And the boy wanted to. He could not, and she rose and left. And he was taken out of the palace, not through the front door, but it was a back door, and then led through the wilderness garden, and then there was this tiny little door in the wall. He was pushed out and heard the lock. He did not know where he was. He did not know where to go. And then it was as if he smelled home, and he followed the smells. And it led him back to the village, which was bustling. All new signs being put up and new names. The mill's name was the Princess's Singer's Mill. The inn was named for the singer for the princess. And everywhere, the village was named after him, except he wasn't with the princess, and they noticed that, and they picked up stones and they threw them at him and chased him out of the village. And he ran, and I don't know how long he ran. He doesn't either.